Alright, we're live. So in today's episode we're going to be talking about the Batwoman. Ruby Rose, Batwoman, no more. And what's next for the Season 2? Is there going to be a Season 2? Is there going to be sort of a reveal of why the change? So let's play the intro, shall we? So, anyway, a lot of things happened yesterday. I was on the Twitter, checking to see what's, up, with everybody on Twitter. And all of a sudden I saw this trending article. I went over to the search thing, and I always look at see what's trending on Twitter, and all of a sudden Ruby Rose was trending. I thought, okay. I don't know why. I was like, maybe she got married. Maybe she talked about what's next for Season 2. And all of a sudden, Ruby Rose quits Batwoman. Ruby Rose is not coming back for Season 2 of the Batwoman. It surprised me because, of course, I've talked about Ruby Rose as Batwoman, and Batwoman is my second oldest niece's favorite show. My second oldest niece is a lesbian, and she is a fan of Batwoman. Batwoman, of course, inspired her to come out. And I'm very surprised that Ruby Rose quit the show, because, it's one of those things, it surprises me that she walked away from the show. And I think there was a lot of reasons to it. And I'm going to give defenses to Ruby Rose. I'm going to defend her reason of walking away from the show. There's a lot of people who are upset. Hello. Good luck. Thank you. And I think the majority of the reasons is the show is filmed between Vancouver, Toronto, or Vancouver, and LA. And I think, honestly, the scheduling took a toll on her. Because you have to remember, Ruby Rose got hurt during the filming of the first season. She had to have neck surgery done because of a stunt going wrong. And she also dealt with a lot of flack from people about her casting as Batwoman. And she didn't do a whole lot of media appearances for Batwoman. She didn't appear at Comic-Con. She really didn't do a whole lot. And I think the reason of it was that I think the pressure and the traveling and everything took a toll on her. And you really can't blame her for walking away. I mean, she's not the first person to walk away from the cape and cowl. Ben Affleck walked away because Ben Affleck had a lot of personal demons and a lot of personal problems. And I'm not saying Ruby Rose has those things. I think she just walked away mentally, couldn't handle it because it took a toll on her. And I really can't blame her for walking away from the show. The problem with the show itself, it's not the casting, it's the writing. The writers and producers set up this whole narrative, this whole reason, you have to watch Batwoman, and all that. I think she just was dealt with it. I think she was she was the person that everybody targeted for the memes, the mocking, the criticism of the show, everything. And it's like, for me, it's the writers. Like, if you give Ruby Rose a good script and a good story, narrative, plot line, you will get a good show out of it. You will get good performances out of her. And you have to watch her in that one movie with Jason Statham and Rainn Wilson. She was really good in it. She was good in Orange is the New Black, which I've seen a couple episodes with her in it, and she was really good in it. And I think that's the problem with the show, is that the writers and producers just gave her shit material to work with. They didn't give Batwoman her own place, her own turf to stretch out and become this great hero. If you ever read James Tynions' run on Detective Comics with his writing of Batwoman, he did a great job with it. And I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of his run on Batman, I will admit, but if you give Batwoman to the character to a writer that knows the character, knows everything about it, you will get a good story out of it. These writers for the CW's Batwoman can't write anything. They can't write something out of a paper bag. That's just how shitty they are. So it kind of saddens me that she's leaving the show. I never watched Batwoman, and I have a niece who just loves the show and is a big fan of the show. And it kind of sucks that a person who is playing a character that a lot of people like, a lot of people love, is walking away. It kind of sucks, but at the same time, if you look at the big picture of the bullshit she had to put up with, from the bad writing team to the social media to everything, I mean, she had to shut down her fucking account. That's how bad it was. You can't blame her. You really, honest to God, can't blame her for leaving. I mean, to quote Joe Pesci and My Cousin Vinny, what else can you pile on? Is there any more shit you could pile on? So, I can't blame her for leaving the show. I honestly can't. She had to put up with a lot during the time, and, I can't blame her for it. So, let's read the articles of it. One, the wig is the problem. Ruby Rose has exited the CW's Batwoman TV series. Have you seen the wig she had to wear? Like, my God, that's awful. I'm not in the costuming department, people. Awful thing. I mean, the thing about it was just like, they made Batwoman a redhead. It's like, so why the fuck do you just not have her wear, I don't know. Anyway. Ruby Rose exited the CW's Batwoman after only one season. It's reported the role will be recast for season 2 that has already been greenlit. So they're looking for somebody to fill in. I don't remember if this was ever the first time they ever recasted anybody in the first season. I don't remember any of it. I remember in Everybody Loves Raymond they recasted the twins after one episode. Um, shit, I don't even remember if they ever recasted anybody. Like, in a, I mean, no, wait, they did. Smallville. They had the woman from Carnival, the HBO series, play Martha Kent. Then after filming an episode, the pilot, they recast with Annette O'Toole as Martha. So I remember that one. Wait, nope. Jimmy Olsen, Lois and Clark. The guy in the first season left, then they replaced him with the guy for the second season, and third and fourth, that guy continued to play Jimmy Olsen from second to fourth season. Yeah, I think that's what they did. So, I mean, this isn't the first time ever that they, but I mean, it's different for this one because this is your main character. Your centerpiece character. This isn't a movie like Batman Returns to Batman Forever and Batman Forever to Batman and Robin, where you recast Batman several times. This is a TV series. This is something different. So this is going to be a big deal. So anyway, here's what she stated. I have made the very difficult decision not to return for Batwoman for the next season, Ruby Rose said in her statement. This was not a decision I made lightly, as I have the utmost respect for the cast and crew and everyone involved with the show, both in Vancouver and in Los Angeles. So they filmed the show in two different areas. So I think she lives in Los Angeles. I think. I don't know where the hell she lives. But I think the reason of it was traveling. I think that it became a difficult thing for her because I think when you're traveling, you go to two different places. You have to like adjust to different places, and I mean, I never traveled to Canada. I have no plans to travel to Canada. Like, I don't think I would. Specific reasons for Ruby Rose's department isn't yet known, but deadlines offer two sides mutually decided to part ways after recent reflecting of the first season and its challenges. I honestly think why not? I don't know. Well, I haven't decided to travel to Canada. Justin Trudeau, their prime minister, is fucking crazy. I think that's one of the reasons. I don't know. I always wanted to go to where they filmed the show Smallville, which is somewhere in Canada. I think Vancouver. I think it's where they film The Flash. So for me, I always wanted to travel there, just to see where they filmed Smallville. Just for the hell of it. But one place I always wanted to go to was this campground that they set up to look like Bedrock from the Flintstones. I always wanted to go there because I am that big of a fan of the Flintstones. I would go, or they call it Bedrock. Sorry, I had to spit. Do you ever get like your nose stopped up and all of a sudden it goes in your mouth? Like, bleh. So, yeah, they have a place called Bedrock where it used to exist until they closed it, and I had to like scratch it off my bucket list. So I was like, fuck. So for me, I always wanted to go to Bedrock. I just love the Flintstones. I just would love to go there one day. So they get two different sides, which was the reflecting the first season and its challenges. I think honestly, they threw a lot at Ruby Rose. I know there's going to be a lot of people like, she wasn't prepared for the show, which is true. I don't think she even saw the whole advertisement thing coming a mile away. I think, if you ever look at it, like, they did this whole advertisement thing of, we hate men. We hate Batman. We hate all these things. And they should have known the shitstorm that was going to come. Like, once you throw in "we hate Batman," shit's going to hit the fan. Yeah, I heard Mira's actor may come to be Batwoman. Yeah. I honestly think, like, they should just, regroup, like, for the first season. I mean, like, not only they should regroup, they should just get rid of the entire writers team for season 1, in my opinion. I mean, they did it with Lois and Clark, except the writers team that replaced Lois and Clark's writing team, they were terrible. The replacements were, in my opinion. So, I mean, in my opinion, they should just replace the entire writers team and just be like, okay, after everything that happened in the first season, scratch that off the, not scratch it, but clear it off the plate, change everything. We're going to go with a Batwoman who is carrying the mantle for Bruce. Not the mantle, but continuing his crusade as he's gone, type of thing. Like, he gave me this responsibility to protect Gotham and all that. Like, that's what they should do. But instead, the first thing I ever said was the bat suit would look better on a woman. It's just like, I don't think you fucking fit in that suit. I mean, look what they did with Titans. They tried to do this exact same thing with Titans. Next thing you know, after the whole fuck Batman, and we're gonna, Dick Grayson's gonna beat the shit out of Batman, which was a dream. Because in reality, it would be different. If it was reality, Batman would fuck him up on sight. After that entire first season, the second season, we need to get Bruce Wayne in. We need to get Bruce Wayne in the scene, in the show. We need Dick Grayson to be, respectful towards Bruce. Have them make amends. That was it. I think the final episode of the first season, they had to get Bruce Wayne in it. And it wasn't even Bruce Wayne. It was Thomas Elliott as Bruce Wayne. But once you mention Bruce Wayne Batman, everybody came in to watch it. So at that point, it makes no sense. But the crazy thing about it is, this whole recasting of it is probably threw everybody off. Because yesterday's show, I was reading the plans they had. They had plans for the world's finest. They were going to bring Superman and Batwoman to team up. And after all that, things had to change. Like now they're getting a new cast, new lead for Batwoman. Who are they going to go to? Who are they going to get? Who knows what they're going to get? Let's see. Rose thanked Peter Roth, Michael Pedency, the teams of Warner Brothers and CW. Put so much into the show, always believed in me. Thank you, everyone, for making season 1 a success. Kind of a success. I am truly grateful, is what Ruby Rose said. CW and Warner Bros. Released a joint statement offering a recasting of Batwoman. It will be played by another LGBTQ actress. Warner Bros. Television, CW, and Greg Berlanti Productions thanked Ruby Rose for her contributions for the show. So, Deadline noted that Ruby Rose quitting the show after the series has nothing to do with injuries that the actress sustained during filming of season 1, which left her facing paralysis and needed emergency surgery. I throw the flag down on bullshit on that one, because if something like that happened to somebody, they'd be fucking pissed. Okay, I throw the flag down on bullshit, because she was left facing paralysis and needed surgery. I throw the flag down on bullshit. She was probably pissed that happened to her. She was probably saying, I'm going to quit this fucking show after this season's over. And guess what? She did. So, I throw the flag down on bullshit. There is no way that she was not left pissed off and angry and aggravated over that. She was probably that. She was probably like throwing the bat suit around in the trailer, like, I ain't putting this fucking suit on, look what happened. You know, like, so I don't believe that one bit. I don't believe that they were like, she didn't quit the show because of the injuries she sustained during filming. It probably had a lot to do. She had an injury on set. She had to deal with social media. She had to deal with the bad writing. There was probably a lot on a plate where she was just like, I can't take this anymore. Like, I think like I said, I think she quit because she got injured. She had to deal with a lot of the shitstorm that a lot of the PR people, the writers, producers, all that threw at her. Like, and plus you had angry fans, writing on social media, like, how skinny she is. I mean, even got to the point where lesbians were like saying she wasn't lesbian enough to be Batwoman. like, I don't know what the fuck that even means, but that's what she was dealing with a lot, and I really can't blame her for quitting the show. But one thing I will say is I cannot wait for the interview she's probably going to give, like, after the show. I bet they had her sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. And I bet after that expires, she's going to, like, go off and say, like, everything. Like, I'll be honest with you, I cannot wait for the interview and give the reason why she quit the show. I cannot wait for it. I can't wait for it, because I bet there's a lot that she probably has a lot to say about. And I bet there's a lot that she wasn't allowed to say. I mean, if you think about it, like when they did Comic-Con, she didn't show up to Comic-Con. She didn't do any, like, I don't even remember her barely talking about playing Batwoman at all. I really don't remember her talking much about it. I mean, I will say this, like, her first appearance in the show, which was in Elseworlds, which I watched on Netflix, she was really good. There was a lot of, like, potential. Like, they made her, like, this very confident person who, and you didn't really see her, like, trash on Bruce or Batman or anything. Like, she was already Batwoman in the show, the first Elseworlds thing. then they reboot. Then they sort of did like a reboot almost, like where they had to like tell her origin, and it's like you really didn't need to tell her origin. Like we already know that she's the cousin of Bruce Wayne. She's continuing, not, I wouldn't say carry the mantle, but she's continuing his crusade, protecting Gotham. Like, you kind of know who she is and what she's about. Why did you have to give an origin story to her? Like, and they threw in a lot of this, SJW bullshit and all that stuff into the show. It's like, they basically, like, watered down, diluted the character from something that could have been potentially great to something that is a laughing joke. So, so anyway, the news follows Sunday season finale episode teased Bruce Wayne. Season 2 was set to debut in January 2021, so they got plenty of time to find a person and film the show, film the X amount of episodes. CW also announced that Batwoman would be heavily involved in next year's Arrowverse. I think that's probably also the reason why she didn't want to do it, was because of the scheduling and amount of stuff that she has to take on for the show. For the Arrowverse crossover, which will take on the World's Finest, which will have Batwoman and Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. Ruby Rose didn't come without controversy following getting cast as Batwoman. She quit Twitter, like I mentioned, over getting backlash from the LGBTQ people, saying that she wasn't a lesbian. Rose blasted white dudes for not liking the show. A lot of us white dudes. Here's the thing about it. They had Batwoman on Sundays when it first started. Football came on. And I said this before. You have football on Sundays. What are white dudes gonna watch? Batwoman or football? They're gonna watch football. So, a lot of us white dudes were watching football at the time, so sorry to say that. Jason Momoa teases a cut. Shang-Chi rumors include Iron Man 2 and 3. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. sneak peek explains the multiverse. I haven't watched that show in a while. So, anyway. Let's get the Jason Momoa talking about Snyder Cut. Momoa posted an Instagram video where he is with his Batman v Superman, Justice League and Aquaman trainer Mark White. It's kind of a weird name. He goes, "We're just sitting around doing nothing," Momoa says. Fucking release a Snyder Cut, am I right? I like Jason Momoa, how he just says shit and just, he says, release a Snyder Cut, am I right? Mark White says, exactly, release a Snyder Cut. Momoa, release the fucking Snyder Cut. You know what I mean. Like, what are we waiting for? That was brilliant. He's like the drunk uncle you have at a party where he just says, like, release the fucking... Kind of reminds me of my uncle Ronnie, so I'll be honest with you. My uncle used to say shit that we were just like, what? Anyway. So. cracked me up. This one made me laugh. For those who don't know, I am not the biggest Superman fan. Which is kind of funny. It's kind of funny that I know so much about Superman, but I am not the biggest Superman fan. Superman's advice on social distancing is a tad unrealistic. It's from Bleeding Cool. I saw this poster, I think this thing on, whereas Christopher Reeve's Superman can't even leave the poor guy alone. Sitting in the Fortress of Solitude. So he's sitting in the Fortress of Solitude. I mean, really, like, you know, I said this before. I was talking to my dad about this. My dad, you know, is a somewhat comic book fan. We were talking about comic book films, like Superman. And it was like, when the hell are they going to do another Superman movie? And I'm like, well, they're doing a TV show. He goes, wait, Superman returned to television? And I said this before, even on the podcast, that the problem with Superman, the problem I have with Superman, is people who either make the movies, minus Zack Snyder. You know, Snyder actually did something good with Superman. Or in the comics, Brian Michael Bendis. They moved Superman back into like the 70s and 80s. Like, that is a problem I have with Superman. I mean, when you had Dan Jurgens and Peter J. Tomasi run Superman, Superman was actually moving forward. They were progressing the character more. You know, they evolved the character. They gave him a family. They married Lois and Clark. And they gave Lois and Clark a son, John. And John Kent's like was one of my favorite characters of Rebirth. Like they gave this, you know, they created this little kid who was hopeful, positive, you know, ready to, you know, and looked up to his dad. They took that little boy who was, you know, what the DC universe needed. They needed a hopeful, positive, Superboy. And a lot of people would be like, you know, I can't wait to see him become Superman. Like, that kid is a good character. They took it. They gave it to Brian Bendis, of all people. And they made him into an angsty, rebellious, bitchy teenage Superboy that nobody asked for and nobody wanted. You know, like, that was the biggest bullshit ever. And to quote Iron Sheik, fucking bullshit. like I was just like, what did they do? Then they kicked down Wally West, Kid Flash, a character that everybody wanted back into the DC universe. And what did they do? They hand the character to Tom King. Why? Nobody knows. And at that final issue of Heroes in Crisis, Wally West is the murderer, and Harley Quinn stops him by kicking him in the balls. What the fuck? Like, first off, time out. I wish they would teach Tom King, you know, comic book lessons. Like, they need to get Denny O'Neil to teach writers how to write comic book characters, counting continuity and everything to it. And teach them about their powers, their abilities, and what they can. Because Wally West is supposed to be faster than anybody. Like, even faster than Barry Allen. But Tom King's mind is like, well, Wally West is very slow. And, well, wham, kicked in the balls by Harley Quinn. And, like, Harley Quinn is like one character I wish they would just take a hiatus from writing for a short while. Because you already got the Birds of Prey, the animated series, which I love the animated series. Season 2 is kind of iffy, but they kind of won me back with the Batman episode, the Catwoman episode, and they killed Mr. Freeze. Spoiler alert. Like, that kind of pissed me off. Like, Mr. Freeze is one of my favorite characters as well. So I don't really like. Season 2 of Harley Quinn, I don't honestly know where they're going with the show, to be quite honest with you. Like, I watched the last episode, and I'm like, where are they even going with the show? Like, is there a storyline? Because it's like all over the place. It's like me when I don't... It reminds me of me when I was like on ADHD, like when I had ADHD badly. Like, I was like bouncing up the fucking walls and shit. Like, it's kind of how it is. But yeah, anyway, like, back to Superman. Like, I was saying, like, Superman is like stuck in the 70s and 80s. And it's just like, I wish somebody would tell these, diehard Christopher. I like Christopher Reeve as much as the next person. Like, Christopher Reeve, the person, is more inspiring than Superman. And I get it. Like, I get, like, people want to, like, merge the two together. But, Superman evolved. Superman evolved as a character. And I wish that people would get that. I wish people would understand, like, the character of Superman is not this, prepare to step outside, General, like, type of character. He's not the Superman of the Superman 1 and 2 anymore. He's different. He's older. And, like, if they bring Henry Cavill back as Superman, and I think Amy Adams is done with Lois, I think. I don't know. And you're going to do the Flash movie. Just have Superman older. Have him have a family, a wife and a son. Give him a reason to be Superman. Like, don't give me the whole shit of like he's there to protect the Earth type thing. It's like, give him something else that he's like, I got to be Superman. I have to do what I can to be the protector of Metropolis and the world. But also have him there to teach his son of what he shouldn't do. Like, type of thing. Like, because like I think the problem, like some of the scenes I liked in the movies that Snyder did, and even in Dawn of Justice, was they had Jonathan Kent, Kevin Costner. By the way, I have the show Yellowstone. That is a good fucking show, by the way. I love the show Yellowstone. Yellowstone is about Kevin Costner is a ranch owner and the leader of the Dutton family, and he controls the ranch of Yellowstone. He has to deal with land developers, the Indian reservation, and America's first national park. Like, Yellowstone is a good show. Like, I love the show because it's like one of those shows that you have to watch from the first episode to the final episode of the first season, They got 2 seasons. The 3rd season is on the way. I can't wait for it. I love this show. Like, Kevin Costner is one of my favorite actors. Like, I love Fields of Dreams. Like, that is my favorite movie of all time. You know, I know there's a lot of people like, isn't your favorite movie of all time Batman? It's like, no, Fields of Dreams. Like, if you put that movie on, I will sit there and watch it from... Even if you put it on in the middle of it, I will sit there and watch it. Like, it is just one of those movies. I love baseball, and I love the movie. You know, the movie is so powerful of a movie. It's like, like I cried at the ending of it, where he builds this baseball field. I talked about it before. And he hears the voice, "If you build it, he will come." And he is standing in the cornfield, and he's like, "What the fuck was that?" And he plows the cornfield, and everybody thinks he's fucking crazy. And he builds this baseball field, and Shoeless Joe shows up. Shoeless Joe Jackson, played by Ray Liotta. And Ray Liotta is a good actor. Like, he's one of those actors that I'm surprised. They put him in a show before with Jennifer Lopez, of all people, and I was just like, really? Like, you got Ray Liotta, the opportunity, you could do a crime show on HBO with him in it. And so he shows up, and Costner's character meets Ray Liotta. Costner's character meets Shoeless Joe. And all of a sudden, all these other baseball players show up to play the 1919 White Sox, who were all banned in baseball, even though they were acquitted for throwing the game. Sorry, my nose is a bit stopped up. I'm not sick or anything. It's just, anytime I wake up, my nose is stopped up. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. The 1919 White Sox were banned in baseball because they were accused of throwing the game. The World Series. They were accused of throwing the World Series. And they were tried for it. And they were acquitted for it. They didn't... they were not guilty of it. And even after being found not guilty, even though they went through the entire trial, they were not guilty of it. They didn't do anything. The reason they did it was they did not get their bonuses. They did not get paid. Like, here's the thing about it. Like, back in 1919, a lot of players did not earn multi-million-dollar contracts that they do have today. Like, they didn't get A-Rod money or Jeter money. These guys had to get second jobs to support their family. And so they were going to work with they were approached to throw the game. They would get this amount of money. And they didn't throw the game where they were losing 10-0. They just, they stuck it to their owner because the owner refused to pay them. They didn't even give them the bonuses when they made it to the World Series. They instead got, in the movie 8 Men Out, they got flat champagne. So, after they were acquitted and all that, baseball owners, all that, met this judge who became the commissioner of Major League Baseball. And he banned the 1919 White Sox from baseball. They could never play Major League Baseball again. So, and even to the point where they're not even in the Hall of Fame. I mean, hell, Roger Maris isn't in the Hall of Fame. Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's record in 1961 with 61 home runs. How the fuck did that? And he even put an asterisk next to his home run record. Because you're he had this X amount of days to break it, and he didn't break it. And it's kind of funny, though, because the guy who pitched him the ball to hit 61 home runs was a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, and Babe Ruth played for the Boston Red Sox. Then he went to the Yankees. And the Yankees and Red Sox have this feud going on still to this day. So, anyway, the point I was making is, after that entire explaining of baseball, Costner, meets James Earl Jones' character. James Earl Jones, for those who don't know, is one of the greatest voices ever. He voiced Mustafa for Lion King. He was Darth Vader. He was the voice. And he has a very good. He has one of those voices. Like, if you ever hear him talk, you're like, my God, this dude has a voice. So he meets James Earl Jones, and he meets Moon Knight Graham, who he first meets as a doctor. And when they were leaving to return home, they meet this kid who's a hitchhiker, and he's Moon Knight Graham. Or Moonlight Graham. I think Moonlight or Moonlight. I forget. So, they return to the field and, the farm, where it's actually a farm that they converted into a baseball, a farmland where they converted it into a baseball field, which is really cool, which is real, by the way. And, so anyway, they see this baseball game, and, after the brother-in-law comes, the daughter falls, and Moon Knight walks up the field, and he's this old doctor, and he helps this little girl who's choking on a hot dog after she fell off the seating thing. And he's this old man, and he realizes, like, I can't play baseball anymore. And after he did that, he walks up the field. You hear Shoeless Joe say, "Hey kid, good work." And he walks in the cornfield and disappears, like a lot of them do, like even James Earl Jones. And after all that, the one person who's standing there is the catcher, and it's revealed to be Kevin Costner's dad. And beforehand, he heard the voices of, "If you build it, he will come. Ease his pain." And the one thing that's revealed is Costner never played catch with his dad, because Costner's character did not like baseball. And at the end of it, he goes, "Dad, do you want to play catch?" And they play catch, And everybody shows up to see the baseball field. Like, it was an amazing ending of a movie. And Kevin Costner is like I said, Kevin Costner is a brilliant actor. Like, he did Dances with Wolves, which is a good fucking movie, by the way, as well. So the show Yellowstone is really good. Like, some of the actors in it are not bad. It's just like, if you're a Kevin Costner fan, you're just there to see him in the show. So anyway, Yellowstone's a good show. Like, I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons. I'm surprised he didn't get an Emmy nomination for it. Like, So anyway, back to the Superman thing. After I just gave you a baseball, after I give you a baseball history. So anyway, this poster or ad or whatever about social distancing says, "Stronger together by staying apart. Be like Superman. Stay in your fortress of solitude. Hashtag connected together. DC." That ad is just so... I'm sorry, none of us have a fortress of solitude to go to. Mine is in the bathroom. I feel safe. Even though I have a crazy cat who sticks her paw underneath the door trying to, like... I am not making this up. Like, my cat will follow me. My cat will follow me into the bathroom and will sit there as I'm going to the bathroom. And I'm just like, can I have space to myself? So it's crazy how my cat is. So, it's one of those things, like, I didn't understand the meaning of the poster, but I guess if it was Batman, where it's like, be like Batman staying in the Batcave, I'd be like, alright, I'm down with that one. So, this one's also funny. This involves my state. DC Comics switched printing from Canada to Missouri. Back in March 23rd, Bleeding Cool broke the news of the closure of one printing place of the Print Canada main printers were for much of the direct market back in the comic book industry, especially DC Comics shutting down initially for 3 weeks, and the dominoes led to the closure of Diamond Comics distributors and many other major comic companies. However, the printings are running again, but DC Comics established new distributor and UCS, and they seems to be in business with a new printer, one that didn't shut down, as its state is allowed to remain open as essential businesses. LSC Communications in Owensville, Missouri, not that far where I live, they indicated credit on the Batman Giant number 5 and Walken. So, I take it DC has business here in my state. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, I mean, like, where I live, we didn't shut down. Like, a lot of businesses stayed open. Like, they're considered essential. Like, I mean, you know, in my state, they have very strict codes where if you're working in an essential business, where you have to wear masks, gloves, whatever, and keep your social distance. So, you know, and I did see a lot of noobs that were on the shelves. I mean, you know, especially where, you know, I live, like, they're not that far. You know, it's Owensville. And I've been to Owensville. It's not bad. So, you know, I will say this, like, I am glad that DC sort of did business for but I mean, here's the thing about it. Like, Canada, like, they, like, for example, a lot of people who live in Canada cannot come to Missouri because of Canada's laws now. For example, Bobby Roode, who wrestles for WWE, hasn't been on WWE television because he is forced to stay in his country, Canada. And people who live in America cannot go to Canada, and people who live in Canada cannot come to America. So, it's very strict rules and stuff, and I think DC wants to get things back to running again. Like, they want to get back to work. I mean, here's the thing about it. They have writers who are working on... I mean, like, DC had writers working on digital books when they couldn't print books. And now that they found distributors, they found printers, they want people back to work on print books and still do digital. I mean, like... But the point I'm making is... I don't get why people are so shocked and stunned that DC did this. Here's the thing, DC Comics is a business. They're into business to make money. That's how it is. They want stores to open back up. I mean, here's the thing about it. Small comic book shops aren't like Walmart or Target or Lowe's or Home Depot or Schnucks, Deerbergs, Aldi's, Save-A-Lot, whatever stores. Comic shops are independently owned by small business owners. And a lot of small business owners are worried and scared shitless that they might go out of business or they might have financially be ruined. They want businesses. They want to open back up. They want to make money. They want to keep their head above the water instead of drowning. That's the thing about it. And I am very supportive of DC Comics wanting to, get back to printing, get back to work. I mean, shit, like, a lot of comic shops now are sort of back open. Dark Side, I think, is back open. I know I got email from V-Stock. They're back open. Half Price Books are back open. I will be stopping in there probably Friday to see what's up. I want to see what's going on, how they're doing. I mean, shit, I went into GameStop, like I said, and I had a conversation with some of the, people, customers and workers, and it was kind of funny, though. I was like the only guy not wearing, I did wear a mask, but I had to put it down because I had to take a breath, because it was just like, wearing a mask is pretty fucking hard at times, because you're breathing in your own air, and you're like, and sometimes breathing in your own air is not healthy. So I had to go outside to take a breath and come back in. I didn't enjoy it. I need to put the mask back on and walk back in there. So it's kind of funny though. I felt like a fat stormtrooper. So anyway, the thing about it was just like people were happy talking to other people. Yeah, weird it is, like you're social distance and you're like scared shitless that the person possibly next to you has, assumption of, corona. Even though that person has a corona in their cart. So anyway, yeah, I mean, here's the thing about it. Like, I'm happy that stores are back open. I did order comics online. I didn't mind it. They got here quick, and I got a new book I never even read before, and it's based on an anime series. Like, I even talked about it. I really enjoyed it. But it's a good thing that stores are back open. People go in there and look around and see what they have, what they don't have. I will say this. I am happy that DC did what they did. I wish Marvel had the courtesy and respect for their employees to have done digital books instead of just like, we're not doing digital, we're not doing print, we're pencils down. Marvel is kind of shitty on doing what they did, and like I said, when Marvel got bought by Daddy Mickey, they became lazy in what they're doing. They went from the great Marvel comics of Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Romita Jr., Romita Sr., to being this lazy Marvel comics. And I think that they should have been loyal to their employees instead of furloughing them and not doing digital books, not really giving them anything to do, like, and stuff. And Marvel is about, it's kind of weird though, like, Marvel posted, like, support your local comic shop, buy your support your local comic shop by ordering, books, buying books from them, but yet we're not doing books. It's kind of funny. But anyway, it was kind of like, it was just kind of how it is and stuff. So that's pretty cool that they got new printers in my state. So Owensville, Missouri. So the writer who made the mistake, they mistaken Massachusetts for Missouri. I blame America. Missouri hardly shut down. It seems to explain why D.C. there. Yeah, you know why Missouri barely shut down? I mean, they did shut down. St. Louis County, they shut down. Owensville and all that, like, and the rest of us, we didn't shut down because, one, we're the kind of people that you don't tell us what to do. That's kind of who we are as Missouri people. Like, we don't do what you tell us to do. Like, we are the kind of people like, you know what, you ain't telling us what to do. Fuck off. Like, but a lot of us were like pissed when we found out like there's no baseball, no hockey, no XFL. Like, we were pissed. Like, we were angry people. Like, we wanted sports and stuff. Like, and I mean, now, like, we still, like, XFL's long gone, and the Blues are, I don't know what the Blues are doing. I think the Blues did, like, I don't know what the hell the Blues did. And the Cardinals are, like, MIA. Like, we don't know what the fuck to do half the time. Except work. That's what we do. But, like, I mean, some of us here's the thing about it, like, a lot of us people here, we've been doing social distancing for a while because we don't like being around each other. I mean, shit, I've been doing social distancing before it became a thing, and I'm still going to do social distancing after it's over and all that. Because I don't like being around people. Like, I don't like being around people that much. To quote Batman, I'm not a people person. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, the Batman Giant number 5 was printed in my home state, which is pretty cool. I enjoyed the DC Giant books. I did find some on Amazon for those who can't get them. They're on Amazon. The first series the first batch they did before changing printers, changing distributors and all that, the storylines for it was Hush, and the second Batman storyline was done by Brian Michael Bendis, which wasn't actually bad. The artwork is spectacular. But I recommend them. They're great books. They're on Amazon if you're curious about DC Giants. Like, if you can't get them, you don't have Walmart. So yeah. Anyway, let's see what the other stories are. Before we have to wrap up the show and all that. Let's go to Cosmic Book News again. See what I got there. Let's see what's in the comics. The big story is Ruby Rose. walking away from Batwoman. Can't find anything. Let's see. God versus King Kong. New spoiler theory may tell us why King Kong fights Godzilla. Never heard of it. But this one kind of is messed up. Netflix since Ooh La La magazine and Back to the Future Part 2. I've heard about, like, it's probably one of the reasons why it's kind of fucked up, because Netflix airs a lot of crazy shit on television. Like, Netflix has no problem airing nudity, sex, foul language, and drug use and all that. But they censor a magazine cover and Back to the Future Part 2. Like, that made me laugh. Because we're talking about Netflix. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's one of those crazy, stupid shit that Netflix does. Yeah. There's one I have to read. It involves Star Wars, and I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I'll admit I'm a big Star Wars fan, but I like George Lucas, because George Lucas is a fascinating person. I'm not going to see the new Indiana Jones movie because he's not writing it, so it's like, So anyway, new Star Wars rumors addressing George Lucas, how he reacted to the first seeing of Star Wars: The Last Jedi and Rise of the Skywalker. The rumor comes from YouTuber Doomcock. What kind of name is that? He explains in his video details of what George Lucas thought about Disney's sequel trilogy and whether or not George Lucas's cut of Rise of Skywalker exists. He does in the video saying, "My sources sent me number of rumors reporting from associates of George Lucas, revealing his comments and feelings of each of the Disney sequel trilogy films. Please bear in mind, not representing these leaks. These leaks actual. I hate these stupid ads. I cannot assess my accuracy on the information independently verifying. I have been told." So it's basically like you pass one thing on to the other. Anyway. So anyway, George Lucas's reaction to I hate when the website, like, they said they updated their website and it's like, anyway. However, seeing the film, there's nothing new to it. George Lucas, upon seeing the reaction of Last Jedi, he said it was beautifully made
Speaking to Rain Johnson after viewing the film. However, might not be all the story. According to Doomcock and his sources, Lucas attended the screening of the film and said, "I made a terrible mistake." He also states that Lucas was appalled, even more appalled than was The Force Awakens. I like George Lucas. He's like blunt and honest about things. George Lucas is a Skywalker cut. Doomcock explains, Lucas brought in a screening of Rise of Skywalker before the movie was released to the public. He goes to explain he was not happy with what he saw, but did see a way which the film could be improved. He also states that he pitched ideas along with those lines he allowed to take pass and re-editing to fix them. He then goes on to reference the previous sources back in December, where Lucas came up with the idea of a secret Skywalker. I did hear about that one. He then goes on to reference the previous statements, sources back in December, with the secret Skywalker. Sources state cannot confirm the plot aspect to the secret Skywalker, but he confirms that there was a George Lucas edit and Rise of Skywalker. Lucas did get a screening of Abrams' final cut and explains that he was not happy with it. Lucas finally got to see this screening for the final cut of Rise of Skywalker at the Skywalker Ranch. To say Lucas was happy would be an understatement. Once again, Lucas was alienated by Disney, and he wishes to ignore the film. According to my sources, Lucas was shocked about how much work of his was missing. He also explains the campaign for Disney and Lucasfilms to release the alleged George Lucas cut. I'll say this: George Lucas should have never sold Star Wars to Disney. I think there's been a lot of people who said that. Throughout this entirety of Star Wars and all that, Disney basically dismantled everything George Lucas has created, made, and all that. Here's the thing about it: Star Wars started out with George Lucas using his own money to make this movie, and it was a movie that a lot of people were like, "Oh, this movie's never going to be popular. It's a waste of money. Why did you make this?" All these things, and it became a juggernaut. And when Disney got a hold of it, they just was like, it's not Disney. Disney is like Vince McMahon. When Vince McMahon gets something that's outside that became popular, not popular created by WWE or him, once he gets it, he dismantles it, destroys it, breaks it down, and it has to be Vince McMahon WWE made. When Disney gets something that's not Disney made, Disney owned, Disney created, they destroy it and create something that out of that is Disney made, Disney owned, and Disney created. Basically, they take down something that is so great and gold, breaks it down, creates something out of their own shit. It's basically what Disney does. So, for me, do I believe the rumors of George Lucas was appalled and said, I made a terrible mistake? Yeah, I honestly think he feels that way. I think he's just kind of like, why did I give them something that was mine, that I created, and they just did this? So, for me, I think that's what George Lucas felt. And I mean, shit, Harrison Ford was just like, it's funny though, Harrison Ford was just like, I don't want to be a part of it, just kill me off in the first film. And they did. And, I don't enjoy, I haven't seen Last Jedi, and I have not seen Rise of Skywalker. I mean, those are the films I didn't see. I seen Force Awakens. I was just like, I don't want to see the rest of them. So anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. There won't be a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday show. I'll be back tomorrow to do the next show. So I will see y'all tomorrow, and thank you for listening. Bye.